Taiwanese firefighters find an unlikely ally in their fight to form a union.
Taiwan's Climate Action Expo is here, but its star guests are not. What happened? We find out.
I'm in the capital of Fiji, where China has been expanding its influence. But join me to find out why it might not be plain sailing ahead for Beijing.
Plus,
these cyclists are setting off on a 3-day bike ride to help raise funds for LGBTQ people in Asia.
warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Philip Broussard. Firefighters say they won't stop pushing for the right to form a union, something Taiwan's law does not allow. The government has proposed so-called professional groups as a compromise, but firefighters are rejecting this idea, and now they have some new allies. John Van Trieste reports.
Firefighters and the government on a collision course. The death of 4 firefighters last month in this factory blaze has re-energized a push for a firefighters' union. This was just the latest in a string of factory fires that have killed firefighters in recent years. And news of safety violations on site sparked fresh outrage. Firefighters have spent weeks demanding stricter enforcement of safety standards and greater protections. But some see a union, and the threat of a strike, as the only way to get these demands met, the only way to protect their lives and the lives of their comrades. As public employees, though, Taiwan's firefighters can't organize. And even after a month of angry protests, the government hasn't moved to change this rule. On Thursday, the Examination Yuan, the government branch in charge of civil servants, recommended a compromise, letting firefighters start a professional association instead.
但人员是分散在各机关，所以呢，特种的协会也可以成立。建议权、协商权这个部分都有在做比较多的强化。建议事项这一次都有比较多的放宽。
But while forming an association would come with added health and other benefits for members, some firefighters have already rejected the idea.
争议性最大的到底可不可以罢工这件事情，我就不谈这件事情。其实，在协商事项还是限制消防事项来进行协商。就算公务人协会法修法，那到底基层消防员组成公务人协会之后，到底有什么东西是可以协商的？
Now, though, the firefighters aren't alone. Throughout this month of protests, police have surrounded their pickets, and they even threatened to break up a candlelit vigil. But police, too, are barred from forming unions, and they're starting to demand some of the same things.
没有人听得到所谓基层执法人员的声音，所以我本会认为，我们应该要先组建一个所谓的警察工会。
As lawmakers prepare to look at the government proposal, the question is whether added pressure from the police will sway the government's course. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The Taiwan Climate Action Expo has kicked off in Taipei. The event aims to showcase the country's commitment to the cause, but many are disappointed that a key part of it has been cancelled. Sally Jensen has more.
This is not the only song and dance to greet the audience at the opening of Taiwan's 3rd Climate Action Expo. The event aims to showcase the country's commitment to combating the climate crisis. But the much-awaited main feature, a climate debate between presidential candidates, will not be happening.
Let me introduce Vice President Lai Ching-te.
Ruling Democratic Progressive Party candidate Lai Ching-te said last week he had never agreed to take part in the debate, which would have seen him lay out his climate policies against opposition candidates Hou You-yi and Ke Wen-je. So the organizers, the International Climate Development Institute, called the debate off. When asked why, they told TaiwanPlus.
因为在联系上面，因为每个候选人都有很多的考量了，那我想行程上面大家都会去做他最适当的安排，所以我想我们大概只是都尊重对方的意愿。那如果说他有答应，我们当然是很高兴。那如果正常他有其他的考虑，其实没有说临时后悔这件事情是没有的。
It's an unexpected cancellation, particularly as Lai announced his carbon net zero policy just the day before the expo opened. It would have been the first time in Taiwan for presidential hopefuls to hold a debate focused on climate. In other countries, such debates are becoming a key part of campaigns.
我在世界各地的大选，我们都看到有因为气候变迁越来越受到关注而出现这个 climate debate 气候辩论的这样的情况。那在台湾，我们是很希望能够推动，但非常可惜没有成功。Net zero.
Many of the expo's participants and climate activists feel Taiwan's presidential candidates are not prioritizing climate issues.
我觉得就是气候变迁议题应该是总统大选重要的议题，然后应该要候选人们应该都出来表达他的政见跟想法。今年很可惜是明年在大选之前却没有这总统的候选的辩论，是非常可惜的事情。
Around the world, many people are demanding that leaders take action on what they see as humanity's biggest challenge. Taiwan's Climate Action Expo is supposed to be a part of this global movement. But with the key element, the presidential candidates debate, no longer on the agenda, it may be the political inaction that ends up sticking in people's minds. Howard Zhang and Sally Jensen in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A Palestinian news agency says at least 2 women are dead and many others are injured after an explosion hit a Greek Orthodox church in the Gaza Strip. It says they were sheltering in the church when it was hit by an Israeli attack. There was no immediate comment from Israel. The explosion comes almost 2 weeks after Hamas militants killed 1,400 people in Israel. That prompted Israel to bombard Gaza with strikes that Gaza officials say have killed more than 3,700 people. U.S. President Joe Biden is asking his country to back spending billions more to support Israel and Ukraine.
American leadership is what holds the world together. American alliances are what keep us, America, safe. American values are what make us a partner that other nations want to work with. To put all that at risk, if we walk away from Ukraine, if we turn our backs on Israel, it's just not worth it.
Biden spoke after returning from Israel in a show of solidarity as it battles Hamas militants. He says he will send an urgent funding request to the U.S. Congress, expected to be around $100 billion over the next year. That reportedly includes money for Ukraine, Israel, humanitarian aid and border management, as well as funds for Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific. A Pentagon report says that China has more than 500 nuclear warheads and will likely have 1,000 by 2030. The report, which assesses the threat posed by Beijing, says China's nuclear buildup is expanding faster than expected, but its arsenal is still smaller than that of Russia and the United States. Those countries both have thousands of missiles and warheads. China is on a mission to expand its influence in the vast Pacific Ocean, but it's facing some setbacks, as Louise Watt now reports from Fiji.
25-year-old vegetable vendor Jay Beze has lived in Fiji's capital Suva most of his life. In recent years, he's watched a shadow fall over his stall as what was meant to be the tallest building in the South Pacific took shape.
The Chinese have really came into place into Fiji for the last 3 to 4 years ago with the last government. They have been given plenty of development and plenty of construction in Fiji.
But the WG Friendship Plaza is an unfinished shell. Years behind schedule, authorities have ordered work stopped multiple times amid concerns over construction standards and other issues. And it's not China's only development in this region. China has been expanding its influence in the Pacific for more than a decade, and that was most obvious here in Fiji, where they built large infrastructure projects like this bridge in downtown Suva. But China's influence now is on a less sturdy footing. At the end of 2022, a democratically elected government defeated a 16-year autocracy and began rebalancing Fiji's diplomatic relationships in favor of those who share its values. The country has now signed a defense agreement with New Zealand and signaled it could ditch a police exchange agreement with China.
If our values and our systems differ, what cooperation can we get from them? We need to look at that again.
China had also been trying to strike a region-wide security deal, but only succeeded in signing a pact with the Solomon Islands, raising fears it might establish a military base there.
China is looking for opportunities to expand its influence in the Pacific and to accommodate its ambitions for naval power projection. Naturally, one ongoing objective for China in the Pacific is to continue to erode diplomatic support for Taiwan. But in the context of limited resources and perhaps limited bandwidth, it can't be everywhere all at once.
China claims sovereignty over Taiwan and has worked to isolate it among the international community. Of Taiwan's 13 remaining diplomatic allies, 4 are in the Pacific. Fiji isn't one of them. And though the government here is growing wary of Beijing, authorities say they expect more Chinese investment into the capital.
Absolutely. We encourage every nation, actually every nationality to contribute.
The city council says that construction on the 28-story Chinese building could still be completed once developers comply with regulations. Residents like Beze are hoping that will be soon. He's waiting for the promises that were made to be fulfilled.
Hotels, office, coffee shops, malls, and they'll provide employment opportunities to the nearby.
A short distance from the skyscraper, a Chinese naval ship has docked in Suva's port, here on a training mission. The vessel, a sign that Fiji isn't ready to cut ties with China. As for Beijing, it may be facing stumbling blocks, but it's clear that it has unfinished business in the Pacific. Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
The Taliban says it wants to formally join China's Belt and Road Initiative. The group's commerce minister says Afghanistan is ready for investment and wants to be part of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. It comes amid closer ties between Beijing and the Taliban administration. No country formally recognizes the Taliban government that took power in 2021, but China appointed a new ambassador to Kabul in September. Afghanistan could offer China valuable mineral resources. A week before Taiwan Pride, cyclists are hitting the road for the annual Asia Rainbow Ride. Tiffany Wong was there.
After the rain comes the rainbow. Despite the expected showers this weekend, over 100 cyclists have set off for a 206-kilometer ride. Known as the Asia Rainbow Ride, this annual event in northern Taiwan drew over 100 participants. They're here to help support the LGBTQ community in Asia. The event was inspired by an AIDS charity bike ride in the US and found a home in Taiwan, a country its organizers call one of the most progressive places in Asia for LGBTQ rights.
Taiwan is kind of like the beacon of hope for Asia in terms of LGBT rights, and we hope to, set an example for, this is the amount of freedom that one could get in a country that's really free, and then we could just, love the people that we love.
This is the Rainbow Ride's 4th year, and it's more popular than ever. Riders have flown in from as far away as Australia, Canada, and Italy to take part. Many are returning riders who say they keep coming back for the sense of community.
Especially with all the crap happening in the world at the moment, which we all know about, it's nice to come here and take a break from all of that and just get together, this camaraderie, and ride for charity and for each other.
And by getting together, they also want to draw attention to the continuing issues the queer community faces in Taiwan and abroad.
Showing my support, spreading the word about equality and rights for the queer community, not just in Taiwan. Taiwan is supportive, but we still have work to do in Taiwan and around Asia.
This year's route takes riders around the scenic northwest coast of Taiwan, from Ximending in Taipei to Dayuan in the country's north, and back.
Cycle for love! Jiayo!
Thousands of people from around the world will be coming to Taipei for the Taiwan Pride Parade next week. And events like this are a warm-up for the big day. They're also an excellent way for Taiwan to showcase the progress it's made on LGBTQ rights on an international stage.
I keep coming back because I think this is a really important way to express some of the values that Taiwan and the United States share.
Participants will finish the ride in 3 days' time here in Ximending, the heart of Taipei's LGBTQ community. Organizers say the route is symbolic of the community's continued struggle for acceptance and equality. Participants tell me they hope to make new friends along the ride and are looking forward to seeing them again next week at Taipei's annual Pride event. Joseph Wu and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Later in the show, young artists take center stage at the Art Taipei Expo. Stay tuned to see some of their works.
For more news from Taiwan and around the world, go to TaiwanPlus.com and download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Young artists are pushing boundaries at the 30th Art Taipei exhibition. Our reporter Reese Ayers takes a look.
Exploring substance, style, and cyberspace. The Taipei International Art Fair is back and bigger than ever. Featuring works by over 140 artists from Taiwan and abroad, this annual expo showcases young talent from the contemporary art scene. While some artists are using more traditional techniques, such as oil paintings and calligraphy, some others are exploring a more modern approach.
Taiwanese artist Tuan Mu is giving visitors the opportunity to fully immerse themselves inside his art using virtual reality.
那我就是会透过新媒体的创作，像是 VR 或是 AI 或是动画，去重新传达东方的一些文化或是背景。这样，我觉得我的作品就是在探索，在这个科技时代，观众怎么样去重新感受自己的身体和空间的一个状态。
Other artists are showing works that tell personal stories. Wang Yuqing was in New York during the COVID pandemic. She depicts the discrimination she faced there.
因为我戴着口罩，所以被当时的白人歧视，就他们对我喊Chinese mask， 然后因为这件事情就是是一个启发这样子，然后我就觉得我同时被歧视，但我同时也觉得为什么他是用 Chinese 这样，然后我就不想要被定义成 Chinese， 因为我是一个 Taiwanese 这样子。
More than a modern art expo, the event is a platform for creativity and cultural exchange in the Asia-Pacific region, demonstrating the ever-evolving nature of art and celebrating the young trailblazers at the forefront of the scene. Eason Chen, Yvonne Yang, and Reese in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Residents of northern Taiwan's Longtan are protesting plans to use their land for a science park expansion project. Park officials are pushing ahead with the plan, despite chipmaker TSMC backing out of it over earlier protests. The officials say the expansion is not meant for any one company, saying it's to promote Taiwan's technological and industrial development. But locals say it would take their land and homes and leave them with nothing.
80几岁都没有房子，你要叫我去哪里？我请政府多多给我们照顾农民好不好？
The running mate of presidential hopeful and electronics tycoon Terry Gou has officially renounced her U.S. citizenship. Tammy Lai posted a photo on social media proving the loss of nationality. Gou caused a stir last month when he announced actor Lai as his vice presidential pick. But it wasn't only Lai's background in entertainment that raised eyebrows. Her dual U.S.-Taiwan citizenship meant she couldn't run for office in Taiwan. With her renunciation confirmed, she's now free to join Gou on the ticket if he's successful in gathering the 300,000 signatures needed to run. Many indigenous groups in Taiwan are working hard to preserve their culture and language. One community in Taidong is keeping their traditions alive with the help of some garage bands. Yu Jingwang has more.
想要说，伤心靠着你耳朵。
Singing on stage is a new band, Melody, performing songs mostly by Indigenous singers. Its members are all from the Indigenous Amis community of Adolan in eastern Taiwan, and their strongest supporters so far are their neighbors. None of the band members had ever considered a career on stage. The three only started performing together at a social gathering when someone pulled out a guitar to accompany their singing. But they are now rising stars, growing more popular within their community.
部落的哥哥姐姐啊，他们都就觉得说，美乐蒂这样子可能比较新鲜吧，因为在部落没有比较少乐团，然后我们又这么特别。
Melody is a covered band, playing songs written by other artists. But they hope that's just for now. In early October, they got to perform at the Amis Music Festival, their biggest gig yet. And that spurred them to think bigger. As a part of the Amis community, Melody wants to help preserve and pass on their culture.
可以让更多年轻人就是一起。
就是族语创作，
对，
边创作边学习概念，因为我们族语一直在流失。
Melody isn't the only group to form by accident. Another is Rock Ina, a band made up of local moms and dads who only perform at the festival. They were pushed into the spotlight because the organizers of the Amis Music Festival thought that making shy moms into pop stars would be interesting.
I 想到人生怎么会走到这一步？不是应该种菜什么的吗？不是应该在那里煮饭什么的？怎么会有上舞台这件事情？
Now that they're on stage, they're giving it their all. They use a washboard as a percussion instrument and have notes taped to their keyboard to make sure they remember what to play. And even when their timing is off, they receive enthusiastic support from the audience, including their children.
让他们在台上展现他们不同的自我，然后让小孩子在台下呢为他们掌声鼓励，然后他们自己也看到自己爸爸妈妈的，就是很厉害的样子。 These garage bands in Adolan village may not get many chances to perform, but they come back stronger every year because they've become symbols of the community's core spirit, which honors indigenous identity and togetherness. Kamashi, Simonetta Ho, and Yujing Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Australia is wishing one of the world's most distinctive architectural structures a happy 50th birthday. Rosie Greninger takes a look at some of its defining moments.
An icon around the world and a marker of identity at home. Half a century ago, the Sydney Opera House was unveiled by Britain's late Queen Elizabeth II. Since then, the cells of the Opera House have been at the centre of Australian celebrations, vigils, defining historical moments, and even a naked photo shoot. While inside has seen a lot more than opera, including rock concerts, exhibitions, and theatre. Ahead of its time, the iconic structure was designed by Danish architect Johan Utzon. His design picked out of the reject pile in the design contest.
In that the judges could see the innovative design, the response to the setting on the beautiful Sydney Harbour, and really what this place could be, which is a sculpture, an artwork in itself to celebrate and house the performing arts.
The iconic structure was brought to life by the work of 10,000 labourers, including Peter Tucker.
When I was working here, it was just all scaffold. It was just all a big, massive safety net that if anybody fell, they're caught in the safety net. And then all of a sudden, it's all gone. And there's musicians on stage and they're playing, and you say, how beautiful is this coming out? I never heard a full orchestra before, but wow, that was very impressive.
Construction began in 1959 with a budget of $7 million Australian dollars. Expected to be completed by 1963, the doors weren't opened until 10 years after that, costing a staggering $102 million. By then, Utzon had abandoned the project and never returned to see his masterpiece completed. But it could have looked completely different, with 233 design entries. Second place was inspired by a shell. Judges said this design lacked drama. And there were many more ideas. Now, celebrating its 50th anniversary, the public is invited for a behind-the-scenes look. 38,000 people have already registered for the weekend event, featuring performances and a special light show.
It's a tremendous honour, it's a celebration, and it really just defines how important this building is to this country and to the world. And it's for everyone. I know the motto this year is the People's House. I like to call it the People's Home.
In its lifetime, the iconic building has hosted over 118,000 performances and attracts an average of 11 million visitors every year. On its 50th birthday, the world looks at the Sydney Opera House as an embodiment of Australia. And for Australians, the iconic structure represents a slice of home. Alex Chen and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for joining us on TaiwanPlus News. Finally today, enjoy these images from a Buddhist boat festival in Myanmar. I'm Philip Broussard. Take care, and I'll see you next time.